Hey everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Football Discussion.
We're diving deep into the most intense football debates straight from the heart of Reddit soccer and some other awesome communities.
Oh yeah, this one is fire.
Let's get right into it.
All right, so today's deep dive takes us into the curious case of Manchester City.
A team practically synonymous with victory.
Absolutely.
Suddenly looking,
Well,
vulnerable.
vulnerable.
Yeah. Their recent slump has sent shockwaves through the entire football world. I mean, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's ignited a complete firestorm of theories and speculation on Reddit.
Reddit is buzzing.
As it always is.
With opinions. It's wild, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that seemed practically invincible just a few months ago.
Yeah.
And now they're fighting tooth and nail to stay in the top four.
Struggling.
What is going on? What does Reddit think?
So Reddit is overflowing with theories.
Okay.
A lot of fingers are pointing at Rodri's injury, arguing that his absence has left a gaping hole in City's midfield.
It makes sense. He's the Ballon d'Or winner for a reason.
Right.
I mean, he dictates the tempo,
Right.
He breaks up attacks, and he initiates their build-up play.
He's the maestro.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the maestro is out of the orchestra, the music suffers.
I saw this YouTube video where Holland was actually having to drop back to clear the ball.
You see it time and time again.
I mean, not exactly what you expect from the world's most expensive striker.
Not at all. And that's exactly the point. Without Rodri there to shield the defense,
Right.
the back line is left exposed.
You could just see it in the stats.
Mm.
I mean, they're conceding way more goals than they ever used to.
Leaky defense.
Okay, so Rodri's injury is definitely a major factor, but is it the only explanation? Well, I mean, Reddit is a breeding ground for wild theories. What else are they saying?
There's a lot more floating around.
Hit me with it.
You've got a camp suggesting that the squad is simply getting old.
Oh, that's interesting.
You've got key players like De Bruyne and Silva. They're in their 30s now. And the physical demands of Pep's system could be catching up to them.
It's interesting you bring that up because I was scrolling through a Reddit thread and someone mentioned that Pep's notorious high-pressing,
Oh, yeah.
high-intensity style isn't just physically demanding.
Oh, no.
It requires this insane amount of mental focus and stamina as well.
Yeah.
So maybe that's playing a role too.
Absolutely. You can't underestimate the mental fatigue.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
The mental toll of winning relentlessly year after year.
It's a different kind of pressure, for sure.
It is a completely different type of pressure. This constant expectation to maintain that level of dominance,
Yeah. To keep raising the bar.
to keep pushing the boundaries. And some psychologists even argue that sustained success can breed complacency.
Interesting.
Like a subconscious drop in motivation.
We're not robots after all.
No, we're not.
So we've got the Rodri injury, the aging squad, and maybe a sprinkle of mental fatigue setting in. But let's not forget the giant elephant in the room,
The elephant.
the financial fair play charges.
Ah, yes.
Hanging over City.
Looming.
Looming, yes.
For those who aren't familiar with financial fair play rules,
Yeah, give us a quick rundown.
they're basically designed to prevent clubs from just spending recklessly beyond their means, creating an uneven playing field.
Right, leveling the playing field a bit.
And City's been accused of, violating those rules.
And the potential consequences are pretty massive, right?
Huge, hefty fines, points,
It's
deductions.
the whole shebang.
That works.
That's got to be weighing on everyone's minds, right?
Yeah.
Players, coaches, even the fans.
Of course.
I mean, it's this added layer of uncertainty and pressure that could definitely be affecting their performance on the pitch.
Absolutely. And speaking of pressure,
Yes, let's talk about Pep.
Guardiola.
He's always been known for his unflappable confidence,
Right.
this zen-like calm, but even he seems to be feeling the heat.
Oh, yeah, Galembalog.
Oh, yeah, I love his work.
Very well-respected football journalist. He wrote that Pep has been so stressed he's been scratching his head until it bleeds.
Whoa,
That's a pretty vivid image.
that paints a pretty vivid picture of the pressure cooker he's in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who is used to winning. Losing must feel like a personal failure for him.
Especially for someone like Pep, who's considered a tactical genius. He's built his reputation on meticulous planning, innovative strategies, and just squeezing the absolute best out of his players.
Yeah, he's known for his attention to detail.
And now he's facing doubts not just from the fans and the media, but possibly from himself as well.
You can kind of see it in his demeanor during press conferences.
A little bit.
He's not as sharp, not as witty. There's a vulnerability that we just haven't seen before.
It's like that aura of invincibility.
The magic.
The magic has cracked.
Yeah.
And that can be contagious, spreading to the players as well.
Right, so we've got a perfect storm brewing here. Injuries, an aging squad, possible mental fatigue, the looming threat of financial penalties, and a manager who seems to have lost his mojo.
It's a tough situation.
But what about the players?
What about them?
What's Reddit saying about their performance?
Well, unsurprisingly, there's a laser focus on Haaland.
Of course.
He was supposed to be the final piece of the puzzle, the goal-scoring machine that would make City unstoppable.
Right.
But even he hasn't been immune to this slump.
His goal-scoring rate has dipped significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, is it him? Or is the team around him? Reddit seems to be divided.
Oh, very much so. You've got one side arguing that he's not receiving adequate service,
Yeah.
The team's disrupted flow is impacting his ability to find the back of the net.
Okay.
Then you've got the other side suggesting the pressure of being the world's most expensive player might be getting to him.
Yeah, can you imagine the weight of that price tag? I mean, everyone expects you to be a superhero, scoring goals in every single game.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's got to be tough, mentally.
Mentally and physically.
And then there's the tactical question.
The tactics.
Is Pep's system actually suited to Haaland's strikes? I mean, he's this powerful, direct striker.
A battering ram.
Right, and City's traditional style is all about intricate passing and this quick movement.
Elegant almost.
Yeah. Ballet on the pitch.
Some fans think they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
That's a good analogy.
Maybe Pep needs to adapt his tactics to accommodate Haaland. Or maybe Haaland needs to adapt his game to fit into the system.
It's a real puzzle.
A real conundrum.
It is.
But what's fascinating is that despite all these issues, City are still only 3 points behind Arsenal in the table.
They're hanging in there.
It just speaks to the strength of their early season form.
Exactly.
But also how quickly things have unraveled.
It's been a wild ride.
A real roller coaster ride.
For sure.
And we're only halfway through the season.
Halfway there.
We're actually about halfway through this deep dive as well, and we really hope you're finding this analysis insightful.
We hope so.
If you are, a quick like and share would be hugely appreciated. It really helps other football fans find this content too.
Spread the love.
So let's get back to it.
All right, back into the thick of it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to unpack.
Oh, yeah, we've only just scratched the surface. We need to dig deeper into Pep's dilemma, the Haaland conundrum, and what this all means for City's future.
The big questions.
The big questions exactly, and perhaps most importantly, what would we do if we were in Pep's shoes?
That's the real head scratcher.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive where we'll tackle those very questions.
So we know Pep is under a mountain of pressure. The question is, how is he handling it?
Yeah, what's going on in that brilliant mind of his?
Exactly. What clues can we get from his recent actions?
Okay, so you know that Gillen Balog article we mentioned?
Yeah.
It kind of hinted that Pep might be considering a major squad overhaul. Like,
Interesting.
he's apparently looking to replace 5 or 6 regular starters in the coming seasons.
Wow. That's a pretty significant shakeup.
Yeah, it suggests that Pep, recognizes the need for a fresh start,
Yeah.
a shift in the team's dynamics.
A reboot.
It's almost like he's admitting that this current group, as talented as they are, might have just reached their peak.
Reach the summit.
Yeah, and it reminded me of something I saw in the Reddit discussions. A few fans were comparing this whole situation to Sir Alex Ferguson's later years at Manchester United.
Oh, interesting.
Remember how Fergie had to rebuild his squad like several times to maintain their dominance?
Yeah.
Maybe Pep's realizing he needs to do something similar.
It's a fascinating parallel.
It is.
2 legendary managers.
I know.
Both facing the challenge of sustaining success at the highest level for years.
Yeah, but the difference, of course, is that Fergie had decades at United to build and rebuild.
Right. He had time.
Pep's only been at City for what, like 7 years?
Yeah, just a fraction of the time.
But he's achieved so much in that short time. I mean, multiple Premier League titles, domestic cups, and they were so close to winning the Champions League last season.
This close.
I know.
Tantalizingly close.
The question is, can he replicate that success with a new generation of players?
And will he be given the time and the resources to do so?
Right, because City's ownership has been incredibly supportive. But even their patience might be wearing thin if this slump continues.
If the results don't come.
Yeah, and I imagine those financial fair play charges aren't helping matters either.
Oh, absolutely not.
That hanging over their heads must be a constant distraction.
Yeah, cloud hanging over the Etihad.
Definitely. All right, so let's move beyond the boardroom.
Okay.
And back to the pitch.
Back to the action.
What about the player's mentality?
Yeah, good point.
Is there a sense of complacency that's crept in after years of winning?
That's a question a lot of fans on Reddit are asking.
Yeah, I saw it too.
They're pointing to a lack of leadership.
Interesting.
A sense that the senior players aren't stepping up and taking responsibility when things go wrong.
There was this one YouTube video I watched, and it highlighted this perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
After a disappointing loss at home, only like a handful of players went over to apologize to the fans.
Huh.
Where were the captains? The supposed leaders?
That's a worrying sign.
Yeah, it's like they've lost that hunger, that fire in their bellies, you know? That relentless drive that separates champions from contenders.
Exactly. And maybe that's the biggest challenge Pep faces right now?
I think so.
Reigniting that passion within the squad.
It's like they've become so accustomed to winning
Yeah,
that they've forgotten what it actually takes to get there.
the hard work.
The hard work, the sacrifice, the mental toughness.
Yeah, and without those things, even the most talented teams can falter.
And that brings us back to the Haaland conundrum.
Right.
Is he part of the problem or part of the solution?
The million-dollar question.
He was brought in to score goals.
Yeah, to be that final piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. But his goals have dried up, and some are questioning whether his style of play is even compatible with City's system.
That's a big question.
Yeah. And there's this really interesting moment in that YouTube video we keep referencing.
Oh, yeah.
They show Haaland having to drop deep to defend, practically clearing the ball off the line.
Wow.
I mean, is that a sign of a striker struggling to adapt?
Or a symptom of a deeper tactical malfunction within the team? That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the answer might lie somewhere in between.
Okay.
It's possible that Pep hasn't fully figured out how to integrate Haaland's unique skill set
Yeah, the unique.
into City's intricate passing game, but it's also possible that Haaland needs to adapt his game to become more involved in the build-up play and less reliant on those classic poacher's goals.
So it's a two-way street.
Exactly, a bit of give and take.
But I think it's important to remember, this is still a relatively new partnership.
It is.
Haaland's only been at City for, what, like 6 months?
Not even a full season.
And it takes time for players to gel, especially when you're talking about a system as complex as Pep's.
Absolutely, give it time.
And let's not forget the impact of De Bruyne's absence.
Oh yeah, he's been out for a while.
I mean, he's the creative engine of the team.
The maestro.
Yeah, the maestro who orchestrates their attacks. I mean, losing him has undoubtedly hampered their goal scoring and put more pressure on Haaland to carry the load.
He's had to step up.
It's like they've lost their conductor.
Yeah.
The one who sets the tempo and dictates the rhythm of the game, and without him, the orchestra sounds a little
Out of tune.
out of tune.
I saw one of the comments on Reddit comparing De Bruyne's recent performances to Steven Gerrard's decline at Liverpool.
Oh, no.
A bit of a worrying comparison, to say the least. But let's not get too bogged down in the negativity here.
Right.
Despite all these challenges, City are still a phenomenally talented team with a world-class manager.
They've got the potential.
They do.
And the season isn't over. They're still within striking distance of the top 4, and anything can happen in the Champions League.
It's not over till it's over.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, this period of adversity will be the catalyst for a reinvention.
A chance to evolve.
A chance for Pep to prove his adaptability.
Yeah.
Tweak his tactics and inspire his players to reach new heights.
To rise from the ashes.
It's a fascinating story that's still unfolding, full of twists and turns and unexpected plot lines.
A real nail-biter.
And we'll be here to break it all down for you every step of the way.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into the final part of our deep dive, let's take a quick moment to remind our listeners.
You know what? If you're enjoying this breakdown of the Manchester City saga, do us a favor and hit that like button.
And subscribe to the channel.
Exactly. It really helps us reach more football fanatics, just like you. We'll be back in a flash with the thrilling conclusion to this episode.
Okay, so we've explored some potential causes of City's slump.
Yeah, the why.
But now the real question is, what's the solution?
Yeah, the
how do they turn things around?
And that's where the Reddit armchair managers come in, right?
Oh, yeah, they've been busy.
I mean, they've got all sorts of ideas, tactical tweaks, transfer targets. Some even offer pep talks for Pep.
It's quite the spectacle.
It really is.
You know, but it's amazing to see the passion and the depth of analysis from the fans.
They really know their stuff.
They do. And while some of their suggestions might be a bit out there.
A little far-fetched.
A little far-fetched. Yeah, there are some genuinely insightful points being made.
Okay, so give me the highlights.
Well, one recurring theme I noticed is this call for Pep to become more pragmatic.
Pragmatic, okay.
To adapt his tactics to the current squad's limitations.
So you're saying ditch the tiki-taka for a more direct approach.
Well, that's what some fans are suggesting.
That's almost blasphemous for a Pep Guardiola team.
It would be a significant departure from his philosophy.
For sure.
But As one of the YouTube commentators pointed out,
Okay.
even the greatest managers need to evolve,
Adapt.
adapt, yeah, to changing circumstances.
Right. So it's not about abandoning your principles,
Yeah.
but about finding new ways to apply them.
Exactly. And remember that Gillen Balan article we discussed?
Yeah.
It mentioned that Pep himself is considering a move away from his signature style, at least partially.
Really? So he's open to change.
It seems so. He seems to be acknowledging that this current squad might not be perfectly suited to his high-intensity, possession-based approach.
So maybe we'll see a very different, more adaptable Manchester City emerge.
Think of it as City 2.0.
I like it. City 2.0.
A team that still plays with flair and attacking intent, but with a greater emphasis on defensive solidity and efficiency.
So a team that can grind out results when they need to.
Exactly.
Win ugly.
Win ugly, if that's what it takes.
Not just the beautiful free-flowing football that we've come to expect from them.
Precisely a team that can adapt its style to the opponent, to the situation, to the various challenges that a grueling season throws their way.
That's the hallmark of a true champion.
It is. Adaptation is key.
Okay, but before we get too carried away with visions of City 2.0, let's bring it back to the present.
Back to reality.
They're still in the thick of the Premier League race, even though their Champions League hopes are fading fast.
Yeah, the Champions League dream is slipping away.
And that leads to another heated debate on Reddit.
Fire away.
Should City prioritize the Premier League, even if it means sacrificing the Champions League?
Tough call.
It is.
On one hand, the Champions League is the ultimate prize in club football.
The Holy Grail.
It's the trophy that Pep and the owners desperately crave.
For sure. But on the other hand, a top 4 finish in the Premier League guarantees them a spot in next year's competition.
A guaranteed ticket.
And let's not forget the potential toll that a deep Champions League run can take on a squad.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the physical and mental fatigue, the fixture congestion, it can all have a negative impact on their league form.
It's draining.
It's a delicate balancing act.
It really is.
Pep needs to weigh the risks and rewards carefully. Does he go all in for the Champions League glory this season, knowing that it might jeopardize their chances of a top 4 finish?
Or does he play it safe?
Yeah, or does he prioritize the league, sacrificing short-term glory for long-term stability?
That's the million-dollar question.
It's a decision that could define his legacy at Manchester City.
Oh, absolutely, his place in history.
And it's a decision that's being debated fiercely in the Reddit trenches.
The fans are fired up.
They are. And amidst all the tactical discussions and transfer rumors, there's another sentiment that's been creeping into the Reddit threads.
Oh.
Pessimism. Even among the most die-hard City fans.
Wow.
It's like they're starting to doubt their team's invincibility, their ability to bounce back from this slump.
The faith is wavering.
Yeah, and it's understandable. I mean, they've been so accustomed to winning, to dominating, that this sudden downturn has been a shock to the system.
Yeah, a reality check.
The aura of invincibility has been shattered.
The magic has faded.
And that loss of faith, that creeping doubt, can be the most damaging aspect of all.
It's true.
Once that belief is gone, it's incredibly difficult to regain.
And need to rebuild that trust.
But maybe, just maybe, this is exactly what City needs.
A wake-up call.
Yeah, a humbling experience that forces them to reevaluate their approach and rediscover their hunger.
To find that fire again.
A chance to prove that they're not just a team of superstars, but a team with character, with resilience, with the mental fortitude to overcome adversity and come back stronger than ever.
To rise from the ashes.